Scavenger, trespasser, adventurer, loner, killer, explorer, robber, stalker. Roaming the irradiated wasteland, hiding from mutants and humans, forced to take shelter from the anomaly storms. This life is not an easy one, not one made by choice, but by necessity. And now I search for the artifact of the unlimited Riz. I would have been dead long ago, if it were not for my gear, my anchor to life. I am a stalker, and I will succeed in my mission.
Well, hey there! You must be here because you like Stalker. I just had to do a Stalker LARP video. Why do I have to do this? I don't know. But if I don't, then there's a scratch in the back of my head that never gets scratched. So I hope you'll join me today as we go over the Stalker loadout. Also like Stalker from the video game, not like I'm a stalker like stalking someone. I feel like we have to make that clear. Uh-oh, I'm gonna get put on a list. Now, with any loadout such as this, there's going to be a lot of variety. So of course, this is absolutely open to interpretation, but this is how I interpreted my Stalker loadout if I was in Chernobyl and I was hunting for artifacts and battling mutants. The first things first, of course, we have to have an AK. It would just be wrong to not have one. Mine is currently kitted out with some Zenitco, a Magpul Zhukov stock, a Holosun LS321 laser device, and a Surefire flashlight with just the ugliest flash can of all time. Now the AKM, AK-47, AK-74, very prolific throughout the video game. So of course we had to pull out the AK. Now there are loads of other guns in the video game, but for the LARP, we had to go with the 7.62 AK. It's just perfect.
Nobody cared who I was until I put on the mask.
Just kidding. One of the more iconic parts of the Stalker franchise is the gas masks that are within the video game. A lot of them are designed off of the real world gas masks. One of the most common gas masks, and the one that I chose for this Stalker LARP, is the Russian GP5, or really the Soviet GP5 gas mask. Now, these was made because it was extremely cheap to produce, very, very simple, and very cost effective. This was important because they wanted to make them in mass quantities and give them out to their citizens. However, my use case for this gas mask, honestly, I kind of hated it. It kind of sucks. Pain. There are some cool features about the gas mask. One thing that I really appreciate about the gas mask is whenever you breathe in, the air comes across the lenses of the gas mask. And that helps make sure that it doesn't fog up or helps clear the fog that's already on there. However, one of the problems is because it's a full head gas mask, as you can see, it goes over your entire head, which does create a nice seal. It's a little bit easier to make a seal, at least in my opinion with my time with my gas mask, is the fact of if you're moving around in this gas mask, the sweat, the condensation, all of it's building up, and it's building up faster and faster and faster because you're getting more and more hot in essentially a head condom. Latex doesn't really breathe that well or kind of at all. That's the whole point of it because it's a gas mask. So what happens is the condensation builds up within the mask and it doesn't have anywhere to go. Because of that, your lenses get more and more fogged. It just gets slipperier and slipperier in the mask. That makes it extremely uncomfortable to wear, and if you're doing any sort of physical exercise or running around, it makes it really hard to operate in. And it's not like you can just pull off the gas mask and wipe the lenses if you're in some sort of dangerous area, like me out here in snowy Chernobyl. So that is one of those things that makes it a little bit harder to use. In order to make aiming a little bit easier and to pull some of the weight off the mask, sniff at it, I do have a hose for this, which pulls some of the weight off the mask so it's not always pulling down. This is really nice because if you have any sort of PAPR device, which is like a powered air purifier and respirator, but basically this helps keep the weight from being on your head and on the mask. So you can put it in a pocket. A lot of times you reroute it to your back if you're gonna be in it for a long period of time. So that's something nice about the hose. If you are someone who's looking at a GP5 gas mask, one of the things you need to keep in mind is the fact of these filters are from like the 80s, the 70s and before, whatever. They're made with asbestos. So if you don't use the filters, pull them off, don't wear it. You're gonna give yourself lung cancers. I had this modified a little bit so it works with a 40mm NATO threads, but I wouldn't really trust it with my life. However, I will say about the GP5 gas mask and other gas masks similar to it is it does collapse down into a very, very small platform. This is easy to store and pack into a piece of kit. You don't need a dedicated pouch for it. Now, as far as the full kit, I am using a chest rig and I've got it loaded on with a few extra things. In a couple of pouches, I got a multi-tool. Can't go out without a multi-tool, of course. A spare pistol mag, a tourniquet, some spare batteries for either night vision or other devices, as well as some lock picks and some charging cables. I think any stalker would absolutely benefit from having some lock picks, especially if you're going through some low-profile areas or some old buildings you want to break into, but you don't want to make a lot of noise by busting down the door. Surprise, mother bitch! Or shooting the lock off of it. So I think a pair of lock picks is absolutely necessary for a good stalker loadout. As far as a couple other things, I do have a smoke grenade. If I'm ever trying to break contact with some bandits or something like that, a smoke grenade would go a long way. I've also got a flashbang, as well as some dummy grenades, okay? Unfortunately, we can't get actual grenades. Bummer, I know, but we do have some dummy grenades in case you're ever dealing with something a little bit bigger.
They have a cave troll.
Another critical item for the stalker loadout would be a bag of some kind. I'm using a Hazard 4 Plan B backpack. I really like this because it's a pretty low profile. If I was going through woods or a lot of buildings, I wouldn't want something so big that I'm brushing everything or it makes going through doorways really hard. So I went with something a little bit low profile that does limit the amount of loot that you're able to carry in or carry out of the zone, but everything has its pros and cons. You got to choose what works best for you. I've got this loaded up with a few extra goodies and things like that. If I was going into the zone, probably maybe like an MRE or some food. That way, if my energy levels were going down, I can have a few bites of the food and get my energy levels back up. Or maybe filled with a little bit of vodka. That way, if there's some sort of radiation poisoning that I get, I can drink that and then lower my radiation levels. How does that actually work? I don't know. I don't think vodka actually has those superpowers, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't feel like I'm wrong on this. Now, quickly going over the last few pieces of the kit, I do have some Alice gear. I think this contrasts kind of a lot with some of the modern gear. As a stalker, one of the big things is a scavenger.
Ooh, a piece of candy. Ooh, a piece of candy.
So if you just need some beltline kit, then some Alice gear is absolutely going to work. And it was kind of in the time frame. I've got this set up with a few pouches on the left and the right side, which enables me to carry a few extra AK mags. If I was going out scavenging, I want to have as much pockets as possible. And these ones are pretty versatile. Currently, I've got them loaded up with a few extra AK mags. That way I can fight off all the mutants here in Chernobyl really well. As far as the holster is concerned for my pistol, because I know someone's gonna bring it up, but it's a Blackhawk Level 3 Serpa holster. This was my first duty holster that I ever purchased for my Walther back in the day. I understand that Serpa holsters have fallen out of favor, and I absolutely understand that. And then one of the final pieces of kit is the sniper hood. This is from Russia. I bought this years ago, so it is authentic. This kind of enables you to blend in a little bit. As far as my look is concerned, it's the first time anyone has seen me in green, so very exciting news for everybody here. I do feel like this helps make you keep a low profile. You can add a little bit of ghillie to it. That way you're kind of breaking up the form if you're, going through and trying to sneak past some people. So absolutely had to throw it in so I didn't stick out as much, but then it snowed and there isn't tons of green around here. So maybe I do stick out. I don't know. Another essential tool for the stalker would be their PDA. Now, I don't have a PDA because PDAs don't exist anymore because we have modern phones. And whenever they pull out their PDAs, they always have to go to their secondary or something, or when they're searching for anomalies. However, I have a solution to that. Strap it to your arm. That way you can see it when you got your main gun, you can see your maps, things like that. You have a little bit quicker access to that. The stalkers use their PDA to find caches, to mark things on the map, to navigate through Chernobyl and the zone, of course, as well as to keep notes about stuff. Lots of different things the PDA was useful for, but we all have a PDA in our pocket these days. It's called a phone. Now, no stalker worth their salt is going to go out into the zone without a bolt. I was LARPing a little bit too hard, and as I was LARPing, I lost the bolt. I threw it and the snow ate it, and it's gone now. But here's some B-roll of me holding a bolt, so you know I had it, okay? I'm a good stalker. I'm a good stalker. These bolts will use to detect anomalies and find the clear path, or clear the anomaly for a brief amount of time so you can pass unscathed, so you don't get just absolutely blown up by these things. Now, within the Stalker franchise, size and weight constraints are huge. Every piece of gear that you pick up is going to add weight, so everything you bring into the zone, everything you bring with you, you need to be very thoughtful of. If you're picking up a lot of superfluous gear or taking in too much that you don't need, then you as a stalker, you as a character, are going to be suffering because of that. Now, I try to be very mindful of what I went with and what I was going in my stalker LARP with the gas mask and the other gear and stuff like that. It all felt very cumbersome. So because of that, I decided to ditch the body armor and only use a chest rig. I felt like it worked a little bit better, and then I was just pulling in some of the essentials, because if I'm traveling a lot, if I was a stalker in the zone, a lot of what you're doing is just traveling through the zone. If that was the case, I wouldn't want to be doing it with plates. If I was just searching for an artifact and I was trying to maintain a low profile, I'd want to be lightweight, which is why I chose a chest rig. One thing that I feel like would be extremely important, especially in the winter for a stalker, would be a lot of waterproof gear. Now, a lot of my stuff right now isn't very waterproof, and I'm really feeling that because I've been rolling around in the snow, doing all the LARPing and stuff like that, and I'm kind of soaked to the core. It sucks. Right now, it's freezing cold, and I'm soaking wet. For all you future stalkers out there, have some waterproof outer layers, maybe a poncho. We love ponchos here, people. We love ponchos here. That way, you're not gonna be soaked and cold like I am, because sometimes it's going to be the elements that kill you before the mutants do. So make sure that you're taking care of yourself, stalkers. That is a very quick breakdown of a stalker loadout that I put together. Now, did I get everything? No. There's going to be some things that I missed. What did I miss? What items would you put in your stalker kit that I didn't have in mine? Go ahead and drop it in the comments down below. Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl has recently come out, and it's just been on my mind. I've only played a little bit of it because I am extremely busy, but I'm very excited to get into the rest of it. As time goes on, maybe we'll come back to the Stalker build and we'll update it a little bit more as I've got more time on the video game. That way we can make something really, really authentic, perhaps. Either way, have you been playing Stalker? Have you liked it? What are your thoughts?